I should apologize. I've dropped the ball. These videos, which I make for my conversation lessons, usually help us discuss some topic. And I intended to explain and describe Choi-Gate and the mistakes Ms. Park Geun-hye has made in her administration. But as I researched, I realized it just got worse and worse. It was like an onion. Layers upon layers of corruption and deceit and strangeness. I couldn't describe it. I didn't know the truth. And as a teacher, truth is really important to me. So I had to step back. And I listened. So for over 40 hours, for all of my students, I listened to what they had to say. What was their experience? It's more subjective. It's more anecdotal. People might argue that it has no validity in the field of science. But in a way, it's truth. This is the way people feel. It's the way people react. And all in all, I have been impressed. And I would like to share that sensation with my family and my friends and my students, both as a thank you and an explanation of a human truth I've discovered throughout this listening process. On the other hand, if you want a description, I will include a link to Ask a Korean blog. The guy has done an amazing report. It's in depth, it's comprehensive, and it's entertaining. I defer to his expertise. Check it out, you'll love it. First of all, Korean folks, no matter who I've talked to, no matter where I find it, whether on TV or in our classroom, they are embarrassed. The sense of shame is palpable. You can smell it. It's terrible. People are so upset because Ms. Park Geun-hye has done terrible things. Truly terrible things. Even by corporate fascist standards, which we in the West have become accustomed to. How ironic that all the Korean people are embarrassed, but Ms. Park Geun-hye remains shameless. That should tell you something about the divide between regular people and the elite. I also want to mention that sense of ownership. Sometimes in the West, in our liberal society, we talk about, token minorities, or this one individual represents everybody. And how inappropriate that might be to treat me like an ambassador for all Americans, or to treat an African American like an ambassador for all the black community. Some people say it's inappropriate. I have been surprised because every Korean has acted like an ambassador. And they feel such shame and embarrassment and disgust because of the offensive Park Geun-hye and her terrible longtime friend, the wicked witch, Chae Soon-sil. Everybody's embarrassed. They don't need to be, but they are ambassadors and they take ownership for their country. That solidarity surprises me. I'm really impressed. Maybe that's why we see over 1 million people protesting in front of Ms. Park Geun-hye's house every weekend. Saturday, Sunday, for over 2 months, every weekend. While they're doing that, in that sense of solidarity, because they're embarrassed and they have ownership for their country and their reputation, people are peaceful. Imagine that as an American. Peaceful protest. We haven't seen that in a really long time. Is it because our police are attacking us and inciting a riot, just like that happened on the plains of North Dakota? Or during the Occupy Wall Street movement, the police incited a riot? Or the Black Lives Matter movement, where the police incited the riot because they're militarized? No, the police here in South Korea are militarized also. But there's a sense of solidarity here, and the police stepped back. Of course, there's some emergencies and some incidents that happened between the police and protesters in the past, and people died. The Korean people took that seriously. Both police and regular people. And now, this peaceful protest is really important. People remind each other, hey, be calm. Anything you do bad, Ms. Park Geun-hye will use against us. And so they are devoted to peace. They have a sense of solidarity. They take ownership, even though it's scandalous. They're worried about the reputation. And people remind each other to be peaceful. I'm impressed. It doesn't seem like the culture, the beacon on the hill, the America that I know is as good at democracy and democratic protest as South Korea. I'm just going to say that. We've got a lot to learn from South Koreans. I want to ask, what's next? Will we, the people, recognize that Park Geun-hye is just the tip of the iceberg, and the corporations who helped pay for her and the shell companies, those are also part of the problem too? Will we boycott the corporations? I don't know if we will. We have so much invested. And so this democracy that I see has no hero except for the people. Now, the media likes to take advantage of the people and to foment the crisis and to stir people up and to create disruptive protests. Only when it serves the media's interest. And this goes deep. It's like an onion. I don't know where to find truth. And that's why I had to kind of back off from seeking objective truth in the media. Instead, I'd like to share this objective truth that I found in people's lives. Because it's here on the ground. And it has affected me. And I wanted to share it with everybody. But the great lesson here is that the Korean people once again have stepped up and saved the country. The people did. And that's what I think that we can learn from Korea. After this monologue, I've included some listening exercises that are part of the lesson. I hope you enjoy the listening exercises, and thank you for listening again.
박근혜 대통령이요? 아니요. 최순실이요? 아니요. 저는 민주공화국의 주권자인 여러분들 각자의 이름이 불리워져야 한다고 생각합니다. 자, 지금부터 저분들 아시는 분은 소리 높여 자기의 이름, 대한민국 주권자 이름을 함께 불러보겠습니다. 자, 시작! 자기 이름 부르는 데는 익숙하지 않으신 분이고요. 자, 앉으시면서 사실은 지금 오늘 공양팀 한 팀이 오셔야 되는데 여러분들이 워낙 많이 오셔서 공양팀 한 팀이 오지를.
We won't talk about unpleasant leaders or taxation without representation. We won't cry about poor leadership or how nobody votes. We won't misrepresent the facts, nor will we complain about minority voters. We will vote every election, and we will study each representative before we vote. In fact, we participate in our democracy and treat other voters with respect. Who watches the TV? Anyone? Everyone. Anybody who has watched TV knows about the corrupt politicians. Oh, wow, it's a circus nowadays. Which ones, you might ask? The Korean or the Americans? The Chinese or the Russian? Either way, the leadership of our countries threatens our nation, and maybe even the world. I will argue that the corrupt politicians are only the dirty beginning. Let me ask, what's the most recent scandal? If we keep watching the TV, for sure, the media will tell us. The TV will also tell us about the protests filling the streets. The scandals and the protests are both good for TV ratings because we love to watch. If the media doesn't report the scandal or the corruption, then intellectuals disregard the news and call it a conspiracy theory. We wait patiently for the media's revelation. Then it's news, and then we can protest.